You might have seen in the news this past week that teachers' unions in America are now prioritizing drag shows, illegal immigrants, and poolside recording studios over the needs of their actual members. This is absurd, and we're going to talk about it. My name is Siena, this is the new Frontline, and we're going to talk about all of the most insane union news that has come out in the past week, starting with New Jersey. Their top teacher union, who is a massive donor to Mikey Sherrill, is set to host a woke drag event for teachers days after the election. The New Jersey Education Association, the union in question here, is going to celebrate, in their words, the vibrant world of drag. Real quick, if you don't know who Mikey Sherrill is, she is currently running for governor of New Jersey and has been highlighted as a union pet project after the New Jersey Education Association has spent tens of millions of dollars funding campaigns like hers and including hers. And as if that's not enough, because apparently for a union it's never enough, a few days after the election takes place, which is going to be this coming week as I'm recording this, the union is planning an event called Drag is Not a Crime, the Past, Present, and Future of Drag. Because of course, even after blowing millions of dollars on a possibly failing governor campaign, they're going to blow even more on an event that's supposedly meant to put diversity and representation at the forefront of curriculum development. What's more is that this event isn't just about drag, but it's about all forms of diversity, and it's funded through NJEA's dues money and a federally sponsored NEA grant. It's also including other sessions such as breathwork and visioning, cultivating equity-centered schools through action, and of course, teaching Palestine, because we can't talk about a teachers union without discussing Palestine, apparently. NJEA, the question I have is point me to the survey where your members said they'd rather have a session on breathwork and visioning over any sort of meaningful curriculum development, or even a fun activity. For heaven's sakes, if this is what NJEA deems as a fun activity, is sending their members to a session about breathwork and visioning, my guy, this is twisted, because nobody wants to sit through a session on breathwork as an activity over something fun they could actually be doing to reward teachers or to thank them for the hard work that they do. NJEA, come on, babe, this does not make any sense. This isn't even the first time that the NJEA has lost its way so tremendously. In the past, the NJEA has hosted similar drag events and routinely emphasized diversity, equity, and inclusion. Plus, they literally have photos from a 2022 event that show NJEA branding and drag queens and union members in the photos. This is worth noting because not only is the NJEA not prioritizing teachers and members, but they're actively choosing these irrelevant issues over their members. It'd be one thing if they were passively ignoring it, but they're actively choosing it. Even if you try, this is the soapbox I'm going to stand on for a second here. Even if you try and defend drag as a part of LGBTQ issues with children, you are still wrong. Even if you take that stance, you are still wrong. This is still wrong. Drag isn't a sexual identity. It is a costume that mentally distressed people put on. Plus, nobody identifies as drag as a sexual identity, and being exposed to drag isn't part of a child's journey to gender or sexual identity, which also shouldn't be happening anyway. But even if it was happening, drag isn't part of it. Drag isn't part of these LGBTQ issues, and none of this should be happening. Why is the teacher union so deeply involved with these things that are happening? Speaking of things that shouldn't be happening, let me tell you about the AFT and AFSCME, two of the largest teachers unions in the country, who hate our country literally so much that they are willing to put the needs of illegal immigrants over the needs of actual American citizens. The first coverage that I saw on all of this was from the Center Square, and they reported and said 2 national public employee unions sued the Trump administration over its restrictions preventing illegal immigrants from obtaining commercial driver's licenses. The employee unions challenged a rule implemented by Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, restricting foreign individuals from receiving commercial driver's licenses. Commercial driver's licenses, or CDLs, are what truck drivers need to operate semi-trucks and other heavy machinery. And in California, over 25%, that's a quarter of all CDLs, were issued improperly. So naturally, because Trump and his administration care about cracking down on these abuses of the system that will affect everyone in our country, not just what happens in California, this new rule in place would prevent undeserving people of being able to get CDLs to be able to operate this large and often dangerous machinery. All of that is what unions are arguing against. And they continue to argue about it because even though there are documented cases of semi-trucks causing fatal accidents caused by illegal immigrants who got CDLs, they think that some grave injustice is being done. An October 21st collision on a California highway left 3 people dead after a semi-truck slammed into multiple vehicles. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that the driver of the semi-truck was an illegal immigrant who obtained his commercial driver's license in California. She said that the driver of the semi-truck was intoxicated and driving under the influence and was released by the Biden administration after crossing the southern border in 2022. But still, AFSCME and AFT, who are run by Lee Saunders and Randi Weingarten, are arguing that these restrictions would prevent people like asylum seekers and refugees and DACA recipients from accessing commercial driver's licenses to be able to work. However, among all of those people that may want to get a CDL to work for good and true, good faith purposes, among those people are illegal immigrants who have absolutely no intention of being good stewards of our land and are out here to intentionally abuse the program. Non-citizens ever being able to get a CDL was a privilege that America chose to afford to them. And when a privilege is being abused, the natural consequence, the natural next step, is to take that privilege away. I don't know why unions are somehow shocked that because this privilege has been abused, that now it's time to take it away. When a kid is misbehaving, you don't let him have the toy. You take it away and teach him some consequences. That's what's happening here. The delusion is unbelievably potent here. These union leaders claim to care about American workers and labor and worker protections, but they're protecting the wrong people. If you claim to want to protect American workers, here's a tip for you, babe. Don't place the needs of non-citizens over the needs of actual American workers who actually pay you dues money every year. This is basic arithmetic, babe. I don't know how it's not adding up in your head, but something's wrong. Union leaders are telling you one thing, but yet I shouldn't be surprised. They're telling you one thing, but they're doing another thing entirely. That's enough of that. Now, moving over to Chicago, another thing that was probably not on my 2025 bingo card was the Chicago Teachers Union spending over $100,000 on a new recording studio in New Mexico. Sorry, I'll be more specific. CTU spent $173,000 on a poolside recording studio in New Mexico. Gosh, how nice of an Illinois union to buy a pool where any of their members could go use it. They just needed to schedule a casual weekend trip across the country to go use a pool that their union didn't even want to disclose that they purchased in the first place. This spending from a union is absolutely insane. There's no other way to put it. This is mind-bogglingly stupid. Illinois Policy found this after looking into statements from CTU's audit, and buried deep in that report was this $173,000 expense to a company called On Point Studios. Illinois Policy wrote, CTU counted the money for the studio as representational activities, which the U.S. Department of Labor defines those activities as associated with preparation for and participation in the negotiation of collective bargaining agreements and the administration and enforcement of the agreements. It is unclear what a recording studio in New Mexico has to do with the contract negotiations or administration in Chicago. I honestly don't know what's more absurd, a union funding a drag queen event or buying a poolside recording studio in a state across the country. Sometimes it honestly feels like these people are competing to see who can do the most ridiculous thing in the name of a teacher union, and somehow they're both winning. What a terrible game to be winning at. Maybe one day these unions will remember that their job is to fight for teachers, not fund drag queen events or defend illegal drivers or build poolside recording studios. But I won't hold my breath, and I don't think you should either. That's all I got for you this episode. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing to the podcast if you like this content, and I'll see you next time.